Welcome to Shape, Color, Story. This episode, I was thinking a lot about the color palette outside right now in winter, and there's lots of grays and browns, and I decided to focus on the color aspect of this show with green. So today's episode is all about the color green for the most part. When I first moved to Philadelphia, I was struck by how all the trolley lines are green. The subways might be different colors, but every train on the trolley is the same. I like to watch the routes stretch. I've never thought of myself as someone who especially loves nature or trees. But once I had a moment walking at night, and I passed a tree that had been pruned, and it was a huge tree. And it made me so sad, because it just had little knobs like fists all on all the branches, and I looked up at it, and I feel like it was screaming silently at me. Screaming. And I felt like I had to do something, but I didn't know what to do because it wasn't my tree. And from that, I thought it was kind of crazy that anybody could say my tree. But of course, I have houseplants. There are lots of things that we think are green that might not have been. But to us, they're deeply green. It's just the truth that they're green. And I like things like that, established because we said it is so. It's also kind of the worst way to think. Green things make me happy on sort of a lowest, I guess, nutritional level. There are also lots of things that are green, probably, that might not be actually. Like I like to imagine plant cells as not actually in a different way than dinosaurs are not actually green. Like, I don't know though, if you look under a microscope, maybe they are green with chlorophyll. Chlorophyll and xanthophyll were my favorite words when I was really young. Xanthophyll is the thing that makes things orange or red. But we were talking about green. In thinking what is the opposite of the winter, I realized that the summer isn't actually very far away. And it approaches right now, all the time. Around April, we get the smell of asphalt with the leaves that were frozen, suddenly exposed and drying at last in warmer air, like an ant under a magnifying glass, a tiny autumn of summer. The summer way of walking into a room with all the lights off to look for something, the window open and glow from the street, limning the sill and the shade in bars across the wall, the damp breeze everywhere in the room, filling it. You shout back to the people in your house while other people shout to each other in theirs. Outside, grass and fires, knowing you'll smell that sweet sorrow later on your side in bed, with your face reaching, waiting, a chill that's been surpassed by the backs of your shins, a horn blaring, and tomorrow, the dusty glare of gravel in your shoe. If you take the yellow of the sun and the blue of the sky in a child's picture, you get green. And around here, it's there in one night. All the trees look different, loom up, all the porch lights unexpected around corners where they weren't in the morning. Grape and tangerine popsicles crackling in everyone's limbs, so the stroll is because it could be away from or towards it. Red wine swilled in the palm, waiting for blasting and police colors. Houses are easy, leaves glisten, with no water in the motion sensor. Since it's the feeling of looking at someone else's home, knowing you've found yours and will never reach it again, ever. All the surfaces of the outside reappear, and the more might be too much for sweaty little palms and legs kicking. If you don't cover up, the monsters will be there, but then it's prickling roasted and a damp waistband. The white fan on the white ceiling. A pause where there keeps being something you meant to say, but you forgot. People can be green, as in inexperienced, or pure, or new, or maybe untainted, all versions of saying the same thing. Or maybe positively fresh. I like to keep that in mind. I like to kind of live that way always as much as possible. In a green way, trying something, not knowing if it'll work. Something like this. Because it always lets you try again. I think I prefer this. Is this a shade of green? You tell me. My mother's favorite color is turquoise, and I think of her as being a sort of blue-toned person because she looks good in hot pink. That's how it works to me. But I don't think she would say her favorite color is a shade of green, although her birthstone is emerald, which is definitely that. I think sometimes of hugging people as having a texture and a color and a shape of its own. And I think a lot of people I know I would identify as green. I wish I was synesthetic sometimes, so I could have the imprints of people's, I don't know, auras, pheromones. as color, visibly. I've heard that can happen. This is a green poem. Did you know, you said, if you stand on the corner long enough, you can hear the traffic lights change colors? And I said, I know. What does green sound like? My chest is closed over, a corded, threaded warren deeply padded, and I leave it that way, there. Leave it be. I remember the day we met. I was wearing a big green shirt and armied armor. Did I shake your hand? In the fields I pull the weeds and unentwine the vines, thrashing, bending itchy bedding. It's rare for me to look so far and into so much leaf. I can't breathe in enough. A chasm ever closing is the damp between the night air and the grasp of it. With no covers in the hot dark, I look at my body the way I think you must have, and stack my skin, gritty, marbled. I watch a firefly wander in and blink neon on my pillow like an errand, though maybe it was just confused. The rush is for myself, subject-object, in the sentence I haven't spoken to you yet. Your phantom limb across my waist reminds me I'm hungry, but it gets lost on the way to the bathroom. Olive oil isn't always green, but sometimes. Why? The fan whiffling damp herbs framing your face. The way you eat, a cucumber in 2 bites. A memory when it's in my mouth. Biting a blistered pepper. Do you care about the seeds? A handful of lettuce. I want to smell like the evergreens on deodorant, cool waiting, and the limey swoop of soap. Caved open and sparking, I don't want to reach in unseeing to that wet, because what if it's dry? Talking to you is like running down a hill very fast. Gushing wind in my head over the galumphs, knowing I'm doing what I'm doing without knowing what it is. Have you ever tried to hold green? It's hard to catch. I think if I wrote a memoir, it would probably have a lot of green in it, because I think that, as I've been saying, summer is sort of the most important site of memory for me. And what is writing about yourself other than trying to hold something you can't hold, really? Does that mean only other people can hold it for you? When it rains recently, like today, I get haunted, a gear shift in my mind. I stood in the middle of the street in the same drip rain in front of a different house, searching for the moon, watching a swirl of smoke fade into the wires above my head, black against the sky, deep eggplant. Like I was waiting for someone to come ambling down. Boots on the slick in the orange bulb, and I wondered at the impact of a red truck and ground wet grit under my toe, fancy with my hood tugged to the sides of my face. But now, loitering, now I'm always looking over my shoulder. And I jumped when I saw the moon full, white hot above the roof, and flat and not supposed to be there as I shivered out to work, the first morning shift, sneakers in the dew, and I jumped when I caught the streetlight instead, like a bird convinced it wasn't a window, the shrubs moving at the edge, squeaking in dramatic violins. And I jumped when the door slammed and it wasn't you coming in. And I want to do something reckless. If I suck the air in deeply enough, and it's the right time of night, and it's the right time of year, and it's been hot during the day, I'm in so many back seats of countless cars years apart, winding through darkness with the bugs flashing in the headlights, damp, cool blades and smashed pumpkins on the breeze. And I can't get my head far enough out the window of the car. And I'm nervous because school's about to start, or it's just ended, or it's just started. And regal always, the cool rain just on the other side of the glass. And I have to admit, after enough rashes, that I'm allergic to grass. And that's green. That's the end. Thank you for watching.